I believe that all these uncertainty came because of the bad management of the resources, the highest expenses on the defense industry. I mean, countries are purchasing a lot of arms, the tension in the Middle East, the war in the Ukraine led to this high, let me say, the cost of production. So the economy is doing bad because we have also high inflation, and I don't agree with the IMF that the inflation will be managed, because I believe the purchasing power with major currencies like the euro and the dollar is becoming less. So I believe we are going to face a big problem unless we find a solution for the Ukraine and the Middle East problems, because as I see, it is going to be worse and worse since we are spending a lot of money on arms, since we don't use technology in, let me say, the financial institution. We don't upgrade the financial institutions. And all this will lead to, I believe, to worse situation in the economy.
And you mentioned Ukraine and the problems in the Middle East, but how is China's economic slowdown affecting global markets, particularly perhaps in developing countries or commodity-dependent economies?
Yeah, China slowdown, I believe it is because also of the tension, In case that, for example, Iran will be entering the war, this will harm China more, because China depends on the fuel or the oil from Iran and the Gulf countries. So this will be a big problem for China. China now, because in general, when you have a kind of uncertainty in the world market, people consume less. And most of the third world countries, they depend on China, cheap products. They consume less because there is a kind of anxiety. There is a kind of fear of the war. The products, the commodities and the products becoming more expensive. So the people, they simply consume less. And this will harm already the Chinese economy, because people are importing less from China.
Okay. And what strategies should economies consider to navigate these turbulent conditions and to foster growth? I mean, can they do something about it without us, the world, solving the problems that you've talked about?
I believe that each country must create a kind of crisis management team from all sectors in the country: security, economy, and other social institutions. And all countries must try to make a kind of a regional collaboration with their neighbors in order to overcome all this problem. Like, for example, no double taxation, encouraging the startup, encouraging the agriculture, having a more better system for storaging. This will help the countries in case that we have the tension or the situation, the political situation are becoming worse. So they will not be harmed from the supply chain. That will be also a big problem in case of the high tension becoming higher. So each country must have a kind of strategic plan on a regional and a national base.
Okay, and with global debt expected to exceed $100 trillion, how might this level of indebtedness affect fiscal policies in various countries and also economic growth in the coming years?
I just want to give you one example. Some African countries, they have already lost their national currency. They just use the Chinese yuan or the dollars or the French franc. So we have a big problem, especially in third world countries and even in the developed countries. When you talk about some European countries, members of the European Union, their debt is increasing more and more, and it is more than the national income, like, for example, 150 of the GDP. So this is a big problem. The United States have about 35 trillion. So I believe many countries will not be able to pay the debt. I believe that we have to find a solution for that, because it's the interest of the interest. It's not real loans for these countries. And simply, since these countries trying to serve these loans, their economy will become worse and will become worse and worse.